Welcome back to part 2 of solving for slant height. Remember, math is easy, take it step by step. So here in this part 2 video, I wanted to show you again that we could take the equation that they had given us, and we're going to solve for the slant height variable. We want to get the variable all by itself. So whether we're working with numbers or letters, the inverse operation, that means opposite. The opposite operations are going to be the same, whether they're numbers or letters, right? We're going to follow order of operations, PEMDAS. Parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, and subtract. This is the order we go in, right? And if you are struggling with understanding this the first time through, go ahead and check out my videos on one-step, two-step, and multiple-step equations. I get into using inverse operations. And again, whether we're going to use a letter or a number, inverse operations are the same. They're the same. We want to get this slant height all by itself. And remember from the last video, we can take this equation and you just kind of reflect it over, and it's the exact same thing you see here. So we want to get and isolate the slant height icon all by itself, right? Whether we're working on the left side or the right side. So step 1 is to follow the order of operations. Parentheses. Is there anything inside the parentheses I can do? Well, in order to combine variables, they must be like terms. Check out my video on like terms. I explain crystal clear what are like and unlike terms and what you can add and what you cannot add when it comes to like terms. Same letter, same exponential power. So there's nothing inside the parentheses that we can do. So we move on. Are there any exponents? Any exponents I can simplify? No. Can I multiply or divide? Yes, I can multiply or distribute, right? So in many of my videos, I talk about distribution, and that's just multiplying the term pi r, right? Pi and r are connected through multiplications. Whoa, it's getting earthquake. It's shaky. It's getting shaky. And what you do is you multiply that pi r term times each of the terms on the inside of the parentheses. So again, multiplication is the step in the order of operations I'll take. And that's distribute. I'm going to distribute and multiply times both of those terms. So what does that look like? Let me show you here. So I'm going to take pi r times r. Pi r times r. Plus, I use a plus sign to separate the next operation. Pi r times slant height. Pi r times slant height. Now, I use and teach invisible ones, right? There's an invisible one in front of that pi r term. There's an invisible one in the exponents term. There's an invisible one with the r term in the exponents place, and there's an invisible one in front of that r. So that's what you're seeing here. These are the invisible ones. So if I multiply pi times r, I have pi r times r. It's still the same thing, separated with a plus sign. Pi r times slant height, you can see that here, equals s. Right? So it's the same thing on both sides. I'm just trying to show you here. So when we multiply and the bases are the same, we add the exponent. So 1 plus 1 is 2. There are no bases that are the same over here, so I'm just going to multiply 1 times 1 and include these all together because that means multiply, right? So it's just going to be a way of simplifying. Over here on the right, 1 times 1 is 1. So we'll have pi r. When you got the same base, you add the exponents. 1 plus 1 is 2. So pi r squared plus pi r slant height equals s. And that's what I'm showing you here in color coordinated red. Right? Pi r times r is pi r squared plus 1 times 1 is 1 pi r slant height. We got the same thing over here on the right side. All right, hopefully I didn't confuse anybody. Remember, we're always going to follow PEMDAS in each of these steps. So let's go. Step 2. We're going to use the inverse operation. What does that mean? That's the opposite. Opposite. Inverse means the opposite. I'm going to use the opposite operation in order to start isolating terms. And so, again, my whole goal is to get that slant height by itself. The slant height by itself. What does that mean? That means I've got to move the pi r squared, the whole term, over to the other side of the equal sign. Pi r squared has got to go to the other side of the equal sign. Anytime you move a term, it's opposite or inverse, adding and subtracting. Right? Anytime you want to turn a term into 1 or make it disappear, it's opposite, multiplying or dividing. So if we continue on, we're going to do the opposite or the inverse. We want to get that slant height all alone. All alone. So I'm going to subtract pi r squared to both sides of the equal sign. That's what I'm showing you here. You do the same thing on the right side. You're going to end up with the same values, okay? Pi r squared minus pi r squared is 0. It's gone. And since these are not like terms, we cannot add or subtract them. We can only rewrite them in order of algebraic. I'm forgetting for the moment the technical term, but in algebraic order. Order, I think, is what I'm trying to say. So it's going to be s minus pi r squared equals positive pi r slant height, right? Pi r slant height. And then over here, it's the same thing. That turns to 0. I'm left with pi r slant height equals s minus pi r squared. It's just the same thing on the opposite reflected side. Now, it's really important. I want to show you, once the shaking stops, I want to show you that this term, when you put variables or letters attached with variables and they look like this means multiply. Pi times r times slant height. Pi times r times the slant height symbol, right? And again, my whole goal is to get that slant height all by itself. So what's the opposite of multiplying pi r times the slant height? It's to divide. So I want to show you here in this next step, we're going to divide both sides by pi r, right? What you do to one side of the equal sign, you have to do to the other side of the equal sign. Pi r over pi r is 1. That's the invisible 1. I'm only left with slant height. You do to one side of the equal sign, do to the other side. I have pi r is now in the denominator of s minus pi r squared equaling slant height. And the same thing on the right side. Okay, I want to get slant height by itself. The opposite is to divide both sides by pi r. Anything over itself is 1. I've got slant height equals s minus pi r squared divided by pi r. You end up with the same thing. So here is our answer and our solution. S minus pi r squared divided by pi r equals the slant height. Our answer is D. Our answer is D. And I wanted to kind of show you, if it would be possible, these options we had, A, B, C, and D. And you can see how they all have slant height. Slant height equals pi r squared is D divided by pi r. And that's what you see here as a final answer. Math is easy. Take it step by step. I hope I've helped you out. If you have any questions or problems you'd like me to work on and create a personalized video, I'd be happy to do it. Thank you for joining me. Math is easy. If I've helped you, please help me continue to create videos and content to help others. Your gifts, your donations, your stars are most welcome. If you enjoy these videos, you think they're helpful, please like, follow, and share these videos. Thank you for joining me. Math is easy. Take it step